Alright, so in this video, I'll show you how to create a couple of pages for just a quick kind of portfolio type of document that I would do, showing some of the functionality I showed you already, plus some additional tools. So first of all, I'll just keep the same document that I have been working on before. I will say, so this would be my site location. And what I want to add to this document is this. I have a screenshot of a map, and I will just add some annotations to it. And I can do all of that in my Indesign. So here I have in my folder, I have a screenshot from I think it's from Google Maps. Obviously, ideally, I would download it from a better source, but I'm just doing this as a quick exercise. And I want to do it here. What I want to do here, I'll just add it. I want to add it in probably bottom quarter of my page. Let's see how that looks. Okay, I'm not too happy in how this looks here, so I want to actually put it in the middle of my page. I go into the Align tab here. If you don't have it, just go under Window. I want to say, where is it? I can't find it now, of course. So it will be somewhere under Object and Layout. Here I found it, and Align. In the Align box, you could easily align multiple objects to one another, or you can just align stuff to the page, or it's like relative position on the page. So for example, this one, I want to align it to the page, and I want it to be perfectly centered. So I could, one way I could do it would be I could manually move it, and you can see that when you move it, there's like a little cross in the center, and I could try and like link it up here with my center guidelines, and you can see when I have aligned it with the center, they highlight pink. However, for a more complex page, that might just take too long, and I might not want to waste my time on that. So what I will do here is I will choose the Align tools, which are really great for also Illustrator and for Photoshop as well. So first I'll see what I'm aligning to. So, well, in this case it doesn't matter that much, but actually what I want to do here, I want to align it to the page, so I actually want it to be center relative to the page. And then I choose it being aligned to the page, and then I can either choose any of these options. So here you can align it to the left edge, so it will align it to the left of the page, or to the top of the page, to the bottom of the page. In this case I want it to be in the middle of the page in this direction, and also want it to be in the middle of the page in horizontally. So it will align it, and it will put it in the center of the page. So the next thing I want to do is I want to draw where my site is. So in this case my site is the Chatham building, the Chatham Tower, which is this one here. And also, as you see, you can probably see that my display is a bit grainy, which is great for normal use, because it means it's just browsing stuff faster. However, sometimes if you want to do something more detailed, you can go under View, and it is under, so you want to do Display Performance, and you just want to do High Quality Display, and you will see that this actually shows the image at the higher quality, which is probably not what I would normally recommend, because your laptops might just, or your computers might not always be able to handle it, especially once you have hundreds of pages and you have very heavy files. I would say just go under, you can go into screen mode and just go, display performance, and just go typical display. But yeah, in case you sometimes need it, the option is always there. So now I want to draw some stuff on top of it, but I want, as I'm drawing it, I don't really want to accidentally move the position of my drawing where it is on the page. So what I will do is, you can right click, or you can use Control Lock. But oh, sorry, I'm right clicking in the wrong place. So you want to be under Direct Selection tool, and you right click, and you can lock, or just do Control L and it will lock it. So what has it done now? If I have some other stuff on here, for example, I'll draw a shape, just draw like magenta shape, and now if I want to select, and I'll draw another one, another one. Let's say these are like some objects I have on top, and if I only want to select these objects and not select something underneath, I could just, because it's locked, I will only select stuff that's unlocked. Also, as you can see, because I changed my text, it has also been, I can also select it, and sometimes I might want to just lock it so that it stays in place and I don't accidentally, when I select everything else, I don't accidentally move it around or change some parameters that I wasn't, I didn't want to do. So here, I'll just delete these, so I can select them all, and I don't need to worry about stuff in the background. The other way to do this also is to use layers. However, I will talk about layers in the Illustrator one, so I can just point you that there is an option to use layers in Indesign as well, which I would recommend to do, because it means that you get more control on what's in your pages. So if I do a new layer, create a new one, and if I just draw multiple objects and I hide it here, I can just work in the layer underneath, and then I can obviously always show it. But again, it really does depend on your workflows and also how heavy your pages are. Because if you're only putting your final images with bits of text on it, you don't necessarily need the layers. However, if you're drawing some diagrams on here, definitely look into layers, use them. It will make your workflows much easier and more manageable. I'll just delete it so it doesn't bother me there. So what I want to do here, I want to highlight where my building is, and I'll draw a circle around it. So I'll go on the shape here, and instead of a rectangle tool, I'll choose an ellipse tool. And I want it to actually be I want it to be with a magenta border, and I want it to be without a fill. So, and I will go back in this option here, and I just draw a circle, and as you will remember, you just press Shift, and you drag it as big as or as small as you want. So I'm zooming in with Control Plus, and obviously the shape, it's basically unnoticeable on my document because I've set it up to be like 1920 pixels wide, which is the maximum width I would probably recommend. I would probably recommend checking your laptops and going slightly smaller, but because of that width, like even 1 point wide line just looks like nothing on my screen. So obviously I will just choose a bigger size until it actually looks noticeable enough. And to zoom out or to zoom to the full page, you just go with Control 0 or Command 0 on a Mac. Then you will see that I have a highlight around my building that I'm working on. So now I want to add a little bit of description or location. So I'll go into the drawing tool. Here it says, where it says delete anchor point of mine, it should be, you should just select the pen tool, so the shortcut is P. Letter P on your keyboard, so I hit that. I'll get to it as well, and you can see that my settings are still the same as they were before. I actually want the line to be 4 points wide, and I want to draw something starting in this circle, and if I press Shift, then it will also line the next point. So if I press Shift and I click it here, it will actually draw a straight line, which is what I want, because I want my drawing to have nice straight angles. If you don't, and if you don't press Shift, you can just draw a line wherever and however you want. So I'll just do a straight pull-up line like this, and you can see I've drawn my line. And I want to add actually a cap on it. So if you go under your stroke options here in your panel, and again, if it's not here, just go under Window, Stroke, and you will see that there is a start and end point option. So I will do my start point. Let's do a solid circle. So I actually don't like how it looks, so I'll just leave it as a line at that end, but at this end I maybe want to actually have the circle ending. So that's my line, and here I will do, I will add a little text box on top saying site location. And as you'll notice, because the last thing I worked with was my character styles, it actually has used the character style here, which is not, well, it is not quite what I want. So I will just I will create a new one for my annotations. Oh, sorry, that was the wrong way to do it. So actually, what I want here, I want this to be a different font. and I want my text to be white. Oh, sorry, my text box to be white, and I want my text to be magenta, and I want it to be centered in the text box, and I want it to be centered also vertically. So now I have created this character style. I'll go here and click new, and I will automatically instantly rename it so I remember what it was. So this will be diagram text. And I can move it in the place where I want it to be. So here, and I can see it's not quite aligned the way I want to be. So now I want to make this line slightly longer. So you can see I can try and drag it like this, but obviously if it had been slightly more sort of diagonally drawn, it would just make no sense, and it would be very difficult to do it. So this is where actually direct selection tool comes in handy, which is also a tool you will probably use a lot when you work in Illustrator. So the difference between these two is that with the direct selection tool, you can actually select certain points rather than the entire thing. So the selection tool just selects the whole object as one, whereas with the direct selection tool, you can select your particular objects onto your particular anchor points onto your lines or your shapes and that kind of stuff. So here I can hover over it. You can see all these little corners are white. If they're not, just click into some white space and they will all become white. And as I'll select this one here, when I click on it, you see this one becomes blue and the rest of them are still white. And now I can just drag it. Oh, sorry, that was didn't aim correctly. So here, when you hover over it, you see this little sort of like square come up next to my arrow. So that means I have selected only this point, and now I can drag this point around without disrupting the rest of my drawing, which is what I want. Okay, I'll go back. So what I want, I just want to stretch it longer, so I just drag and drop it across. I make sure to press down Shift key so it does drag it in a 90 degrees, so like straight angle, rather than going sort of freeform. And now I can just use, and also you can use the same tool for your others, for your box and your frames and your text boxes. So if I wanted to make my text box shape slightly different, I could just drag it like this, and obviously now my text box would change its. I actually quite like how it looks. Might leave it like that. So yeah, so now I zoom out just to see my page, and you can see that I have my base image, I have added a highlight, and I have dragged it out and I put my site location sign up. And if I hit W, I can just see how the page will look like. So next I will add a little north marker on my page, and I'll show you how to do next. Alright, so what I want to do now is to add a north point to my site location plan. Land picture. And I have drawn a little icon in Illustrator, so I'll just drag it in here and I'll put it here. So you can see this little like shape I have drawn, and if you zoom in, you can see it preserves the transparency, so obviously it's only the stuff I've drawn in Illustrator. And in this particular case, actually what I want to do is I want to add a fill to it so it stands out a bit more. And I will do it by just going up here, and I have selected, so instead of selecting my inside box, which is the contents, which highlights in the orange, I will select the bounding box, and I will go here and select the fill color, and I'll just hit it paper. So as you can see, what happened now is the box filled in with color, and obviously the stuff that's my content that is still the color it was when I imported it. And now I can just adjust the frame slightly the size I want. Or actually, you know what? I might actually do it in a circle one. So I'll just do the whole process again. I'll just draw a circle frame, but instead of dragging it in there, I'll just go in here, I'll select it, and you can either use shortcuts or cut it out. And you select this frame, and again you can use shortcuts, or you can go right click and click paste into, and you can, it's always good to check what shortcuts are available, because the sooner you learn them, the quicker your work is going to go in well, in all software, but InDesign especially. So what I've done here, I've centered, copied, sorry, the drawing I have from Illustrator into this round frame, and now I just want to center it. So I drag it down a little bit. Or you can use arrows as well. So if I'm just using my arrows on my keyboard to make sure it's roughly centered, I'll delete this one. And now I want to make it white. Alright, so here we have it. And I will use it, use my selection tool just to drag it into the corner. Zooming out. This is my page. Yeah, I'm quite happy with it. The only thing I realized, I've set site location in my title and I've set site location here. So I'll just change this to, let's say, Chatham Tower. Yeah, that's great. So I will move on to the next page, which will be my some of my pictures. As you can probably tell, I'm not really following anything specific here in terms of narrative. I'm just showing you what I can do in InDesign with some buildings and sites that you're familiar with, so it's not too confusing. So I go to the next page, and this one I will say I will put in my pictures that I had used previously. So what I will do is I will add more frames because I want them all to be in. I'll just use rectangular frames, and I will use them. I'll do squares. So I'm holding down the shift key, and as you see, it's actually, my square shape is slightly smaller than width-wise than my the grid I've drawn, because the grid is not perfectly square, but obviously you can change your grid or you can just edit it the way you want. And now I'm doing Alt and drag to drag it across so I can copy it without needing to redraw it. And and I'm just doing it again and again. And as you can see, the gaps between those picture frames are not even, which is not great. But what I can do, I can use my align tools. First let's say if I could accidentally move these boxes somewhere across. Just to show you how you quickly can align stuff. I'll take my boxes, I'll go into the align panel, and I want to align them vertically, and I want to align them to the page, so they are centered to the page. And now I'll align them here. So now, what I want to do, I want to make sure that the gaps between all of these are the same. I will do it by, I'm aligning it actually now to the margins, because I want it to be aligned between this margin here and this margin here. And then I hit distributed spacing, and I will just, as I click here, you can see it aligns them so that they are between the margins and all these gaps are the same size. Alternatively, you could also just select use spacing, and you could type in, let's say I want all of these boxes to be exactly 20 pixels apart. I type in 20 pixels and I hit space apart, the same button I used before, and you can see now they're all exactly 20 pixels apart. I'll leave it at this for this particular image, but yeah, these align tools are extremely useful, and obviously it's especially if you have more pictures than that. I'll scale these down. So if I had a massive grid of, I don't know, let's say 20 pictures, I could always just drag these along, and I could realign them the way I want to, because now you can see all these gaps are just all over the place. Obviously I could just I'll align this one first, I'll align it to the selection. All the gaps are even now, and now I want all the stuff on this side to align with this box here. So I select these four first, then I click on this one again, so you see it highlights with the bolder border. And next thing I do, I click vertical line, so this automatically will align stuff to the thing I have sort of like selected with a particular selection. So I'll do it again. So here I select these four boxes, I click on this one, so this will be the one that it uses as the object to align to, and I hit this and it aligns them again. And I do it one more time, and now you can see I have this really nice grid. Obviously the gaps are not even, like this gap is smaller than this one, but I could have easily rectified it by just making sure I type in manually the spacing, or I align it to something that is like a reference grid. So I hope that's clear. because I use the function a lot, and I think that's one of the nicest things about InDesign, when you can just so easily make things very nicely organized into pages. So I'll just put these back where they were, and I'm stretching them but just by holding shift down, and they're back in place, which is great. So now I will take my pictures I had. I had my chatting picture, I'll put it in here. Alright, I think everything is fine again. So I will choose my folder, I'll just drag in the pictures that I had. Yeah, as you can see, as I said before, some of these are just because I have just downloaded them from internet for a quick exercise, so unfortunately some of them might be slightly too small, but it's just to demonstrate the principle. And obviously if this happens to your pictures, just make sure that you find some pictures that are better quality. And also the setup, so this is actually quite a large page size. As you know, this is for a 1920 pixel wide screen, so technically that is not all the screens, and just be mindful of what your actual settings are, because if everything seems to be way too blurry and not good enough quality for your pages, it might be that you have just accidentally messed something up in the settings, and double check. So I'll make this one bigger as well, and then this one I'll make smaller so it actually fits inside my little window. And so here, so this is all well, let's say this is all I want. So this would be my page called I don't know, site pictures. So Control Shift click, and I can say site pictures. So here's my page. I can preview it. Obviously, I'm not. Yeah, this is not a particularly telling page, because actually I'm not really saying much. I'm just showing some pictures, but just for this exercise, I think this is good enough. And what I can actually do now is add little text boxes, which I will use as the main text body. So I'll say this is building before renovation. And as you can see, because the character style has been chosen, most likely, it sort of overrides the paragraph styles. So in case that happens, just make sure you click none into the character styles, because otherwise whatever you have in your paragraph style, the character style tends to override it. So in case it happens, just make sure your settings up there are correct. And I'll just copy this here, and you can see it nicely aligns it with my text box. Oh, actually, what I've done here wrong is because this one is not actually aligned with the picture, but aligned with the grid. So I'll just quickly do that. Move it along, move this one along, and move this one along. This is as seen from All Saints, and this one will be Benzie building, and this will be main atrium. So this is my page. I feel quite happy about it, and yeah, I think this is good. So next, what I can do next is, let's say I want to. What do I want to do? I want to add another one, and this one will be different. Where is it? Let's see. What I want to add to this one, I will just add a couple more images with some more elements on the page. So I'll add this Illustrator drawing. So you see it didn't quite align to the margin that I had. So I can just Control Shift, stretch it larger, or make it slightly smaller. And obviously, because the way I have imported this, you can see that it takes Illustrator artboard as the frame of reference rather than the actual image, which in most cases is what you want, because if you have your Illustrator artboard set to, let's say, a certain size as you have your page, you don't need to worry about scaling it up or down. However, in this situation, actually, this is not my ideal thing, because I would want it just to be cropped to my graphic, but I can obviously just do it manually by using my using the tools that I have in InDesign. I could just crop it so that I can move it around and transform better. Or you don't have to do it. It's just kind of like a tip. So what I'll do here, let's see, I will copy it across, make it slightly smaller, and make a couple of copies of the same drawing. And in each one I want to highlight something. So for example here, in this one I want to show where the School of Architecture is, so I'll go into the rectangle tool and I'll draw it, and I know that these are the top, let's say 3 floors. In the next one I will want to show something else, for example these 2 floors. And then here I will show other levels of the building, and here I will show this one. I'm not entirely sure where I'm going with this, but I hope you understand why I'm doing this the way I'm doing it. So I'm adding a text box, and actually here I want it not to be here I actually want it to be my diagram text, so this would be School of Architecture. Sorry, I forgot how to type it. And I will move it next to here. So here we will have I don't actually know what's in these floors, so I'll just say floors, is it 4 and 5? Really sorry if I'm making some errors here. And here I will have floors 1, 2, 3, and here I will have ground floor. Okay, and as you can see here, I'm not really too fussed about how I leave my text boxes. Obviously, if you wanted to align it nicely, you would want to either manually change the size of the text box, or you can do Control, Alt, and C, which crops, which makes the container fit the content. So if you right-click on something, you will see fit. Select this one. You'll see fitting, and you can actually select types of fitting. So for text, it will only be fit frame to content, but it can be for other types of drawings. So for example, for this one here, if I right-click and I go under fitting, you'll see there's all kinds of fitting options. So I can obviously center the content if my frame is bigger, do all kinds of things, and here I can again just crop them all to the right size and align them with the top of my bounding boxes. Okay, and now previewing, Shift and W, and you can see, and I'll title this my building layout. Alright, so here I have my 3 pages that I have created with some extra pages which I used at the beginning to show some other stuff, and now I will show you how you save and export your drawings. So first thing I want to do is you can, if you want, you can get rid of your what's happening here. So you can get rid of your empty pages, or if your page order and numbers are important. Other than that, you can always just select and export a number of pages. Talking of which, I will actually show you first how to do page numbers. It's very simple, and you don't always need to use them, but it's one of those great automatic features that you can do in InDesign. Same as like you can automatically add dates, you can automatically add your name, title of the section, and so on. Similarly as you would do if you set up a document in Word or PowerPoint and some other software you might be more familiar with. So we'll go here, and I want my page numbers to be on the bottom right corner. So I zoom in there, I have my text type tool selected, I draw a little box, and I type in letter A, and I actually want it to be in my diagram text, and I want it to be centered into my little text box, and I want I want it there. And now I select my letter A, and I go under type and insert special character and markers, and as you can see, there's obviously many other things you could include, which is great, and it's a great place to explore for stuff that might be useful for your work. And I'll include current page number. Alright, so now if I go to my page, pages 2, you can see the page numbers 2. And so if I go down, page numbers 3, 4, and so on. So if I scroll down to page 1, you will see that it doesn't have the page number, and this is because this page it has master A applied to it rather than B, and B is the one where I put in the page number. So if you wanted to add the page number to this one, you just want to drag and drop the master B across, and now you can see the page number has appeared here. So this page I actually don't need, and because I want to export it with page numbers, I will delete it. And I will also go here and delete all the pages I don't need because they are just really unnecessary at this point. So I have created this very short, quick portfolio, and now I'll show you how to export it. So first thing first, you want to check that there are no errors in this box, because if there are any errors, it will mean that if you have a link that you have linked, but you have, for example, moved that folder across somewhere else in your computer, or you have edited some files and they haven't actually been updated, it will just struggle to export these things. And similarly, if you have some text boxes where text is going over and so on, it's important to make sure that this says no errors, or if it says that it has errors, you are okay with them, because it might be some text boxes and stuff that you actually don't mind, but just don't forget to check it before you actually export. So now, if we would just want to save, export a document for print, you can always go to File and Export, and this would, I'll just choose document somewhere, and what I will do is, so I'll choose my settings here, and I want to export all my pages, so you can do ranges, and here you can also do pages or spreads. So if you had set up your documents so it shows facing pages, you can actually, even now after you've done it in single pages, you can actually export it as spreads, which might be useful for some types of online publications, stuff like that. However, normally I would recommend just export as pages, because you can always change viewing in your, let's say in Acrobat, if you view it, you can always see 2 pages side by side, stuff like that. So under compression, this is one of those places where you can actually make your large files become smaller. So for color images, if images are above 450 pixels per inch, it will automatically downsample them to 300 pixels per inch. You can actually go lower in case you don't need that high resolution, because even on a computer screen this would be kind of like an overkill, because as I said before, it does depend on your pixels in total, but also if you check like DPIs for screens, they don't often go over 250 unless it's a specific type of screen. And the same for grayscale images and stuff like that. And also there's other options which you can always check, which might come in handy when you are making stuff for print, or stuff that is sort of like posters and it's printed in a specific way. Again, color conversion you don't really need at the moment, but it's just good to know that you can set all of these settings, and obviously you can set a password protected documents as you can anywhere else. Yeah, and I'll hit view PDF after exporting, and now I'll hit export. And you see this little tab appears here, which means when InDesign is working. Obviously it happens super fast now because I only have 3 pages, but sometimes it will take longer. And this is my final document. So this is the PDF I exported. As you can see, everything's nice and clear, except this picture isn't, but I kind of knew it wouldn't be because it was very small to start with, and I would, if this was my final document, I would just either find a better quality picture, or I would go and just change it for something else that's better quality, because obviously you can see, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but if I zoom in, you can just tell that it is extremely pixelated compared to the image next to it, and that's not really what you want. So yeah, that's it for exporting. So now I will go back and show you how you save your documents. So if you save just an InDesign document, which is what you would normally do when you're just working with files from your computer. However, if you want to, for example, save it and save it with all your links included and all that kind of stuff, because at the moment if you save your InDesign document and you delete some of the files you have used here, they will all disappear from your InDesign document, which is obviously what we don't want. So in order to protect that, and also if you, for example, are working on a project together with some other people and you want to share your InDesign folder with them, it's not enough for you just to send over the InDesign file, because you need all of these links as well, because they're only linked, they're not actually embedded in any way into documents. So what you want to do is you go over to File, and then there is an option called Package. So when you package it, it will ask you options for what you want to do, like stuff like fonts and all the linked images and all that kind of stuff. Normally you can just go with the default settings unless there's something specific you want to change. You hit package. It will ask you file name for instructions, text. You just, because it creates like an additional text file, you usually just hit OK, and I will put it into my folder where I'm preparing this, so I'll just package it here. And it is saving it. Alright, it's saved. So now, when I open that particular folder, let me just bring it up for you. Alright, so here it is, and it is called presentation folder. So it has all of this stuff has been packaged into one. So if I open this folder, you will see that it has an InDesign document. So this is basically the same document I have here, except it has all the links linked to the folder that contains the links. It has a PDF, so this one is, you can untick the option to export the PDF, because sometimes if it's a very large document, you don't necessarily need all those extra 100, 200 megabytes you have on there, but the option is there, and obviously it's great if you give it to somebody just to see how it's supposed to look in case they can't open some of the files, stuff like that. So the important thing here is the IDML file, which is really useful when you are sharing your stuff with somebody, or if you're using it on a computer which has a different version of InDesign. Because now if I open this here, if I just double click on it, it should open in my InDesign, and as you see, it didn't show any errors because all the files and everything is linked. However, you can see it shows as like untitled one, so because it basically read the IDML document, which is like a legacy format for InDesign, and it opened a new document, so you want to resave it somewhere else and then keep working on it. And I'll just say no because I don't really want to save it now. So the next folder we have is the links folder, and this one it contains all the images or documents you have been using as links in your folders. So obviously if you are doing a portfolio or something, it will have loads of drawings, diagrams, stuff like that, and you can always use this option to either send it over to somebody, or if you want to package it all and just save it somewhere so everything that's in your portfolio is in one place, you can always do it. Just be mindful that if it's a lot of heavy files, it will obviously create a lot of it might create a storage issue eventually on your computer, but other than that, all the files are here. They have the same original file names that you have given them. And the last folder is the document fonts, and this one here is all the fonts I have used in my documents. So if I'm giving it to somebody else, or if I'm taking this document to work on a computer which doesn't have those particular fonts installed, it does save them up here normally, and you can then obviously just install them into your other computer, or your friends can install stuff like that. There might be some issues with if you're not using fonts if you're using fonts that have copyright on them, or if you're using fonts that you have essentially downloaded on the internet which are not and you haven't paid for them and stuff like that. Like there's loads of free options available. Don't be afraid to do it. It's just be mindful that this is where you just might have some issues later on if with compatibility and also all the font understanding between the computers. But for most fonts, you can always just find them and install them separately in the computer, or you can always change them again within the document with find and replace options and stuff like that. So I think that's the last thing for this presentation, and that's it. So obviously, if you have any questions, please just let me know, and I'll be happy to create more videos and show any specifics if you need to. And that's it. Thank you very much.